Good morning or afternoon. What time is it here on the East Coast? It's just afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. I am so thrilled to be welcoming all of you into the retail playground and inviting our very special guest, Hayley Denker, to join us. You're going to learn a whole lot in this session. Just for those of you who are new to the retail playground, we are a community that is all about empowering and supporting retail entrepreneurs on the journey that is brick and mortar and pop-ups and online and the intersection of all of these channels and building a meaningful business and equipping yourselves with connections and resources that make it all sing. I'm Allison Yee. I'm the founder and CEO. I'm joined by some of our amazing team at Up Next. And we are really honored to have Hayley here with us today because I feel like everything that she is going to speak to is very much in line with how retail and marketing can marry together in this symbiotic way. And Hayley owns a digital marketing agency, Hayley Denker Marketing, and she does a lot of work with mid-sized companies as their outsourced marketing department, but she also has all kinds of resources and workshops and fun things that can empower founders across the spectrum with different sized companies. And when she and I were brainstorming what it would make sense for her to speak to in the retail playground, she started describing how she approaches everything as a storytelling opportunity, including a trade show table or a window experience or a digital ad. And I immediately lit up because apparently she's worked for Disney, she's worked for all of these places where she's learned to create immersive experiences. And that is the ultimate goal with what we do in retail. We want your stories to shine. We want people to come into your space and just feel transported. And so I won't steal any of Haley's thunder. This is all of her vision, but she really gets it when it comes to how to translate your brand into a vibe. And I think this is going to be a really fun interactive session. So please don't be shy. Turn your camera on if you're up for it. Haley's going to encourage you to ask questions, join the hot seat if you want to talk about your business. So she's got lots to offer. And Haley, without further ado, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. That was great. And thank you to everybody at Up Next. I'm so excited to be here. Um, and I'm so super passionate about what I'm going to talk about today. My team's laughing because like talking about curating a vibe, and like I use the word vibe all the time. They're like, okay, Hayley, here she goes again. Because I think there's a lot of supposed to's, and there can be a lot of cringing when it comes to marketing because it's tied into like selling yourself and putting yourself out there. But I've never met a founder, an entrepreneur, a business owner who doesn't have an incredible story and who wasn't incredibly passionate about what they do. And that's the secret to actually like creating an effective marketing strategy. So you all have it, it's in there. And I hope kind of what we talk about today will coax it out. Allison mentioned Disney, and I want you to think about, you know, when you go to Disney World and you're looking at your favorite rides, people are waiting 45, 60, 90, 120 minutes for a 4 or 5 minute ride because Disney creates this immersive experience throughout waiting in line that has you tied in and excited and doesn't feel like waiting. So that's kind of in line with what we want to talk about today in creating your brand's vibe. As Allison said, feel free to raise your hand to plot questions in the chat. I really want this to be a dialogue. I want you to leave feeling excited and inspired. And if you have a question or if an idea comes to you, like feel free to pop it in. You can interrupt at any time. All right. So cultivating a vibe, storytelling, marketing for authentic connections. Today, our goals, I want to help you define and amplify your brand's vibe. We're going to talk about how we're going to use storytelling and community to build connections and infuse more personality into your marketing. So what is a brand vibe? A vibe is a feeling, an experience, a mood. When we talk about a brand vibe, it can be explained as your brand values, your brand voice, and your brand visuals all combined together. So to try and coax that out, I would think about, and you can do a fun brain dump, after or when you're sitting down to do a little, creative brainstorming. What does your brand smell like? If your brand had a signature scent, what would it be? If your brand had a playlist, what would be on the playlist? If your brand got an opportunity, if someone said, here's $10,000 to host a dinner party all around your brand, what would that be like? What would it feel like to walk into that room? What would you eat? What would you serve? All of that is your brand's vibe. I know for me, it can be really helpful thinking in metaphors and analogies. So I love these kinds of, if we were, we even had a signature scent for a while. It was this like lemongrass, bergamot, like citrus to inspire creativity. So those kinds of things can help you really ground into what your brand's vibe is. I'm going to go through some examples. We're going to talk about some well-known brands so that you can kind of get a sense of what I'm thinking about. So if you know Glossier as a brand, they're very minimalist, effortless beauty with that kind of, with a cool girl vibe. Skincare first, makeup second approach. They're very accessible. Beauty is for everyone, not just the pros. Low maintenance beauty that enhances, that doesn't hide. They're very community driven. They listen to real customers so that their voice is very casual, very friendly, intimate, like a DM from a cool friend who kind of is on the next best product. Very conversational, relatable, subtly aspirational. It's like, oh, you're a good friend who always seems to have like great hair. That's the Glossier vibe. So for visuals, they're soft, clean, pastel heavy with a focus on that like dewy natural skin. They also use a lot of user-generated content that feels authentic and personal. Another brand vibe example is Anthropology. And I've chosen these because these are brands that I feel like if you didn't know the brand I'm talking about, you still might recognize them, or at least recognize the vibe. You might walk into a store and say, this store has an Anthropology vibe. So what is that vibe? Bohemian, artistic, effortlessly chic, a touch of whimsy, a treasure trove of unique finds. You can walk through Anthropology over and over again and discover something different. They have their store thoughtfully arranged so it feels like home. You have like the kitchen section, the intimate section, the more outfits, more entertaining. So it feels like you're walking through someone's home. Dreamy yet aspirational, evokes wanderlust and creativity. And then the last brand example is going to be the athleisure line Outdoor Voices. Their vibe is very playful, inclusive, movement focused. It's about being able to be active and do things, not just looking fit. It's about being fit and encouraging real bodies moving. It's not about performance. It's about fun, inclusivity, joy, thoughtfully made activewear. They use a lot of bright color blocked, clean, modern, real people in real movement. It's not hyper edited fitness models. So when thinking about your vibe and how you would describe if you put your brand up here and I was going to describe your brand, what would that look like? I know along with your Zoom link, you were sent over a vibe check worksheet. I'll show you a little bit what that looks like and go through, but this is something that I don't want to spend time actively doing it right now, but you can do afterwards to make sure that you're pulling out your vibe. So on this worksheet, you're going to list your core values, things that drive your brand. So some of the things that we talked about in the brands I just mentioned might be community, sustainability, maybe maybe you're a woman-owned business, so maybe that's a big value to you, is encouraging I know one of my values for my company is providing employment for creative women who don't necessarily, a creative woman doesn't necessarily want to sit in front of a computer for 9 to 5, but may still want a career that's financially supporting her. So how can I create jobs that look like that? So writing down your core values, then writing down your brand emotions. So what feelings do you want your audience to experience when engaging with your brand? So do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel safe? Do you want them to feel encouraged, motivated? Let's see what other was. Comforted. That's another great one. Then your brand voice. So playful, bold, relatable, professional, experienced, silly. Think about, how do you communicate when you're writing your copy for social, for emails, and describe your brand voice. Then the most fun part, I think, is the visual aesthetic. So colors, imagery, design styles that match your vibe. So soft pastels, minimal, vibrant, bold, edgy, editorial. Think about that visual aesthetic. You can even go on Pinterest and plug one word in and then see what else comes up. And then you'll have this brand vibe statement. You'll complete the sentence, my brand makes people feel blank, plug in that brand emotion, by being blank and blank. So, oh, thank you. Kristen plopped the worksheet in the chat as well. So when thinking about storytelling and using your brand vibe to then tell stories through content and community, people remember stories, not stats. People are going to remember something that they relate to you about. They're not necessarily going to remember that you have a sale next week or the other information that we want them to remember. So creating content that is memorable will involve telling a story. So some types of stories to use, your founder story, customer stories, behind the scenes, mission stories. So these can all be, when you think about your founder story, you might be thinking that's something that you tell once, but it actually can be something that you tell over and over again. I'm sure you're all very aware that not everyone sees every piece of your content. You can post something and maybe 20% of your followers will see it if you're lucky. So feel free to tell your story over and over again. And you can do that in a less formal way. If you're thinking about your founder story, you don't have to sit down and talk about when you were born and what your first inspiration was. You can think about one moment in your day that maybe lit you up or that was a great customer experience that really embodies your business, and tie that into your founder story. So your founder story can actually have a lot of different umbrellas underneath that. Customer stories is a wonderful way to kind of paint that picture of what it's like to be a customer of your brand. Everyone likes seeing behind the scenes, peeking behind the curtain, showing them what it's like when you either when you're setting up something in your retail space, when you get a new delivery, when you're creating your product, and then mission stories. So going back to kind of your core values and what's important to you, talking about that and how it ties in with your brand. Then building community. We're going to talk about really specifics of these two, but using user-generated content, people love seeing themselves on your social. It makes them feel like they're a part of the brand that they love supporting. So whether it's, hair salons, when they are posting pictures of your hair, that's just as much for the relationship with the client and making the client feel excited and that her stylist is proud of the look that she has. It's also, showing off the work that the stylist can do, but it really is about community building. So shouting out your customers, talking about, if someone comes in and posts a picture holding, the beautiful mugs or the vase that you've made, resharing that, encouraging people to submit and to tag you really does a lot for building community. And we're going to get into collaborations as well, but that's a wonderful way of exposing your content to a larger audience. So the 3 C's of storytelling, and then I have my own little expanding on character. The 3 C's of storytelling are character, conflict, and connection. So when you're thinking about a story and those like story types that I just mentioned, these are the 3 things that you want to anchor them around. So your brand character, who you are and who you serve, conflict, the problem your audience faces, and connection, how you create shared experiences. Now, not all, when thinking about retail, especially if your things are just like I'm looking around my desk for an example right now. I have a pair of earrings right here. What problem does my earrings solve? That might seem kind of difficult, but if you get into the mind of your client and you're thinking, how do you want them to feel when they see your earrings? You can kind of reverse engineer and get back to the problem. The problem solved is they're bored with their stuff at home. They have an event and they want something that makes them feel really beautiful, and your product solves that. And connection, how you can create shared experiences. So finding commonality in your storytelling, talking about telling a story where people can really relate back to you and say, I feel that way. So in terms of character, who you are and who you serve, I also want to add who your audience is and who are they when they use your brand. So telling a story about a busy mom of 5 who comes in and shops and buys a pair of earrings with you, or a working woman who is nervous about asking her boss for a raise and is looking for an outfit that's going to make her feel empowered. Make sure that you're centering your ideal client and their scenarios in your content and storytelling. We don't want all of the stories to be, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. It's, this is who I am, and this is how you're a part of this community. This is how we relate together. This is how who I am helps you to be who you want to be. I will often remind our clients that our customers, they're the main character in the story. And so who are we? They're Luke Skywalker, we're Yoda. Or we're Han Solo, but like we're a secondary character. So it's important to tell our story, but to center our clients as the main character. All right. These are some strategies to infuse more personality and more storytelling into your marketing. Develop content pillars. Actually, this is a resource that I didn't put in that I should put in. I have a Google Doc template that we use with our clients where we'll create pillars and then put all of our content ideas under those pillars. And it really helps us have a framework when we're meeting. Me and my team will meet quarterly for all of our clients and come up with content ideas. And those pillars help us stay aligned with some of the intentions. So come up with 3 to 5 themes that are aligned with your vibe. So if we were anthropology, maybe one of the themes is dinner parties, and or inspiring home spaces. They want to inspire people to be a little more playful with how they set the table when their friends come over. They want to inspire people to buy the really loud tablecloth, or the really beautiful apron. So that would be one of their pillars. So coming up with 3 to 5 themes that really align with your vibe will help anchor all of your content that you're creating to be within this storytelling, connection-driven type of content. Social media with soul. This is something that I talk about with my team a lot, is you want to hook them with headlines, hold them with a story, and help them with a takeaway. So an example with that could be let's say we're selling sheets from Anthropologie. The hook would be your bedroom isn't just a place to sleep, it's your daily retreat. The hold would be talking about, I used to rush through my days. I never would consider, I would leave my laundry on my bed. I would never make my bed. My room was a mess. And I never considered how that affected my energy. Then I made some swaps. I bought beautiful bedding. I committed to making my bed every day. I swapped harsh lighting for warm tones, and it changed everything. And then your help is try this, swap your bright overhead light for a soft glow bedside lamp, or change up your bedding to be something that puts a smile on your face when you're making your bed rather than just plain white sheets. So kind of using that framework keeps the story in mind. You're hooking them with, I think a lot of times we skip that hold part. A lot of posts are the hook and the help, which is great. But what's really going to be memorable is when you hold them with that story. Email marketing with a pulse. So we worked with a high-end retail brand in Greenwich, Connecticut that they have this beautiful store, but they were really growing their e-commerce and were selling a lot online. But it tended to be the same people buying from their email list every week. They would get new drops every week, so people were looking for those new arrivals. But again, it was the same people. They were just buying, whatever was new. And they had, decent results. They were, I think, their revenue attributed to email was around $3,000. So every time they'd send an email, which was like weekly, they were making $3,000. That was like great. We saw an opportunity to use more storytelling in their emails because again, what they were sending was just new arrivals and it was dress, link, shoes, link, hat, link. Sometimes they would put together an outfit, but just if that's what happened to come through the door. Sometimes it would be dress, dress, dress. The owner was very well traveled, was always going to new and different exciting places and finding these cool pieces she was bringing back. So we said, we had two different email marketing ideas. We were like, well, first of all, you're so well traveled. What's in your suitcase? Like, what are you packing? That you also sell at your store, but show us your packing list, show us what you're bringing. And then also like, what's on your playlist? What are you listening to? What are you watching on the airplane? Like, let's create a whole vibe of traveling, like the jet set journey with the store. So we did that. And we created a mood board around traveling and traveling basics. And we invited people to shop the mood board rather, again, than just, leggings, link, dress, link. It was shop the mood board, and it was very immersive. Another thing that we did was another similar like mood board was she was going to Italy. And so we included in the email, again, it was very mood board-esque in that the images in the email weren't just the shoes, the sweater. It was the coast of Santorini. It was spritzes. It was gorgeous plates of food that were all connected and created this vibe and this feeling. And we invited people to, shop with us in Italy. And then that brought them to a curated page with links. And we increased their revenue attributed to email from that 3,000 to 9,000. People were so much more apt to, rather than see a dress, oh, I like it, click, awesome, I'll buy. Whereas when it was shop the mood board, they were just as when they walk into the store, they see all these beautiful things. They're having this experience. They're talking to the salespeople. They're pulling things in, trying them on, inviting them in to shop the mood board or to experience this packing playlist, put them in a different headspace and actually had them buying more items. So the people that were shopping with them regularly bought more. So there were more items sold. And people who weren't their regular shoppers were inspired to click through and they were purchasing as well. So I think that's such a great example of we didn't change up. It wasn't that one dress was better than the other. We weren't selling anything different. We just created a vibe and a feeling and a mood that would inspire shopping more. Okay, in-store experiences that match your online vibe. So making sure that those two things are consistent. So if we're sending out this email that's talking about, the packing playlist, create in-store experiences that might invoke that as well. I know a lot of you who do pop-up are really experienced with this, but even things like things that are tactile and letting people really like touch and feel and smell and hold and see how your product, your items could be used in their everyday life. You're really setting the stage and letting them engage with your product creates that vibe and that storytelling, and it's putting them in the mindset of, oh, I'm the main character when I use this product. I'm the main character when I use this item. And then using collaborations and brand partnerships to amplify your vibe. So aligning strategically with the right brands that match your vibe will really amplify it. So, for example, let's see, I came up with a couple examples for this one. Okay, a sustainable home brand and a local coffee shop could do a morning ritual collab featuring some limited edition mugs and co-branded events. So the sustainable home brand may have the local coffee shop come in and provide coffee that morning and talk about your morning ritual, because that's exposing the same type of person is going to be really interested in both of those things, and it elevates the vibe. It's like, oh, when I'm sitting in my eco-friendly, gorgeous big couch, I'm also drinking this sustainable coffee from a local business. It's really, elevating both and amplifying both businesses. Another example is an activewear brand and an outdoor adventure club. So sponsored hiking meetups, because again, both have the same vibe. So making sure you're doing something that's bringing people together. Branded gear, user-generated content when you're doing something like a collab. And then another example is like a boho candle brand and a yoga studio. So a custom scent inspired by the studio's vibe. People come in, they start to associate that scent with the yoga studio. They're like, I love that smell. Oh, we actually get that from so-and-so, and they work on custom scents, etc. All right. I'm wondering at this point if anybody wants to volunteer to be in the hot seat and could tell me a little bit about their brand, and we could talk about your brand's vibe and start to brainstorm what could be some good either social media hook, hold, helps, either some email marketing ideas that might, elevate your vibe, partnerships. Does anybody want to go into the hot seat? I'm looking in the chat at some of the people I haven't gotten to see. Who's here? Okay, Heather, Shop Caldwell's. You can come off mute. I'll stop sharing and tell us about what you do.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be with all of you. I've been looking forward to this very, very much, and you do not disappoint, Hayley. This is incredible information. I am so, my mind is just popping with ideas, etc. And so what I do is I sell antique and vintage smalls, and my most recent endeavor is creating paper products based on my archive of antique and vintage imagery. I was a librarian, bookbinder and librarian for about 20 years. So you can take the girl out of the library, people, but can't take the library out of the girl. So I just have loved doing that and creating replicable products to share with my customers. And I mostly sell on social. I have the best customers in the whole wide world, which I'm sure a lot of my friends on here would disagree and say they have the best customers in the whole wide world, but they're just amazing. They're so supportive. When I initially started offering as a trial the gift wrap, I thought, they're going to think, why is the antique lady selling me gift wrap? But I sold out my first run of that. And so I was like, okay, this is something that people are engaging with. They seem interested and intrigued. And so I'm getting ready to launch my next product, which is a postcard based on a hand-colored French early 19th century bit of ephemera. And so I'm excited about that. Yeah, so there I am, all different. I'm very fragmented right now because I feel like I'm sort of trying to do two businesses at once. And of course, my dog Edgar Allan Pug is in there. I mean, it's all a bit of a mishmash at this point. But it's been, again, it's been wonderful, and I feel like I have very, very lovely, very patient, very kind people in my community. It's like the real upside of social media has been being with all these people. So I'm going to stop yammering, but that's in a nutshell what I'm doing or what I'm trying to do.
So this is so cool and so beautiful, and totally up my alley. So I'm so glad to have discovered you. Can you tell me maybe like what's your do you have I know you're really starting on this gift wrap. What's your biggest struggle or a big goal that you have this year? Because I think then we can talk about how the vibe of your brand could kind of help you achieve that goal or overcome whatever's been difficult.
Right. I think my biggest goal this year is connecting, learning about, which I'm working on right now, and connecting with people for wholesale, because I think wholesale would be a really neat way to work on those kind of connections and community that you're talking about. And there's something about that I think that feels very collaborative. I'd like to identify places and really be doing the outreach versus using sort of an aggregator like Fair, which I know can be very effective and wonderful. But I just really love the idea of that sort of mutual connection. And I've had a lot of my customers say, hey, when you get to do wholesale, call me. I know a couple boutiques that I would really love to see your things in, etc. So I think
that was my first thought. Yeah. I'm like oh,
sort of
there's so many stores that should have you. Yeah.
Sort of a small way, and also places that I might even I've got some great customers in some different places, like in England, etc., mostly in the US, but in England and France. And if I could go over and just be with people and just say, hey, I'll do a workshop doing wrapping, or we could work on our calligraphy with the postcards, or do whatever. So my product offerings are so small right now because I'm really just experimenting with what I know, the imagery that will resonate with my people very much. I just don't know which products I can translate that imagery onto. I know they're going to be paper. Paper's my expertise. Paper's my passion. That's what I've done for so many years. I love it, and I can't wait to share it with people. But I'm like, do my people need postcards more than gift wrap? Do they need, what do they need? Can't wait to do it for them. So anyway, wholesale is something I'm just feeling really excited and energized by.
Awesome. So I think a couple of thoughts, and this is how my brain's going to work. Some of this is just going to be ideas, and some of this is going to tie into what we're talking about. Is coming, a lot of the clients that I work with will come to us and talk about social media. And the actual biggest bang for their buck and the most immediate return on investment they'll see from social media is not actually from trying to directly reach their customers. It's by reaching their referral sources, or for you, reaching these other brands. So I would consider, you know, crafting some content that's showing, that's really speaking directly to people who, why would the store owner want to have your paper in their store, and crafting some content that shows that. And, you know, I can even, you know, think about like your, the beautiful candle that you handpicked for your aunt deserves the same, you know, beautiful wrapping, or whatever that has to be. But creating some content that's speaking to them, and why it matches in their store and how it fits in with their vibe. Like, you could even do a fun, playful series that was like, if we were in blank store and they asked us to create custom gift wrap, we would pick this one. So obviously, like,
oh, cool. Yeah.
like Sephora's not your target, but I'm just like, if Sephora asked us to design their gift wrap, this is what it might look like. So you can pick some stores like, I don't know if you know the store Nesting in Concord.
Yeah, I love it.
But you're like, if Nesting, you know, asked us to create custom gift wrap, this is what it might look like and why. And then, you know, and then you tag them, and, you know, it's kind of aligning you and putting out there that that's something you could potentially do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to point out when coming to your page is, you have here, it says subscribe to our email list at the link below. And this is a bit of advice for everyone. You want to give people a like what I want to say, why should I subscribe to your email list? Now, if your email list is filled with gorgeous antiques and where you found them and imagery like this, like, absolutely, I'm signing up because I love this aesthetic and I would love that to be in my inbox once in a while. But, and maybe it's like, you know, subscribe to my email list to see my most recent antique finds or something like that. But I would give a little reason why.
Right.
And one of my
Great
biggest
idea.
pieces of advice when it comes to email is, we're all getting the message, subscribe to my newsletter. We're seeing that everywhere. So I would encourage you to come up with, either like a really specific intention for your email list, like, you know, for your most recent antique finds, or call it something, give it a name. And all it is your newsletter. I'm not asking everyone to invent something, but for example, we work with a hair salon brand, and we say, join the Good Hair Society. Now, it's literally just their email list. It's their email list. You just have to give the email and you're in the Good Hair Society. It's their newsletter, but it's a more creative and immersive way to get their email list and for them to start participating already in the vibe. I think my email list, go ahead.
That's an awesome idea. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because my web designer actually just sort of did that. She's like, oh, I thought I'd call your email list the wishing well, because it was like my last name ends with well. And I don't know. I mean, I don't go into the story too much in my stuff, but my husband's last name ends with well, Farwell. Mine is Caldwell. So our family motto is all's well that ends well. But I kind of incorporate some of that into my you know, imagery, etc. So the wishing well, you know, the wishing well list or whatever she called it, but I didn't even think about putting that on my social. So thank you for that. That's a great idea.
I love that. That's so immersive. Like, it's so memorable. Like, I'll never forget that. I think that's great. I love calling it the wishing well. I think ours is called agency access. So it's not subscribing to my newsletter, but I call it agency access. And we decide that, like, we're going to talk about like what we're doing and how we come up with ideas. And sometimes it's like, here's our coffee orders this month. You know, it can be silly because that's who we are. But I love the idea of the wishing well. Yeah, make sure your social reflects that too. Making sure that things are cohesive and connected is super important as well.
Yeah, that is so
Awesome.
helpful. I so appreciate it. Thank
Oh, good.
you.
I'm so glad. That was wonderful. And I'm excited to see, I'm glad I'm following you now. I'm so excited to see where that takes you.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
good. I think Bonnie, you said you'd be open to joining the hot seat. I think we have time.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So I am the founder of Renew Naturals, and we are a clean skincare brand out of Georgetown, Mass. Um, I'm trying to stand out in a sea of products, as you know. I founded Renew Naturals nearly 14 years ago when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I was seeking out really clean products. Back then, there weren't as many as there are today. So I feel like I've lost some footing in the sea of what's out there and a lot of greenwashing. But we focus our formulations on using organic, beautiful ingredients. We infuse them with clean actives for efficacy, and we are truly transparent with what we put into our products. So, it's just trying to gain new customers. We have a very, very strong return rate. I've had customers that still buy product, from when we first launched. And it's so exciting to see that, but it's really trying to gain new customers. That's kind of the issue that I deal with.
Okay. I love this. I mean, you have beautiful product photography. I love
Thank
like
you.
the colors. Like I can already kind of pick up on the vibe. Um, my first suggestion with some of your content is I want to know a little bit more about the person who uses Renew. I mean, you're here a lot,
Mhm.
but all of your I mean, again, the product photography is gorgeous, gorgeous.
Mm.
I would say in between every once in a while, besides skincare, what does he, she, they, what do they value? What do they do? How can we plop Renew in her every day? Like I love this.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is great. Because
Mhm.
it's like someone using it, taking a shower. I want to see a little more of the someone using it, someone experiencing it, or the results that come from, oh, this is great. But in terms of what you just told me about your goal, I would say some
Mm.
kind of collaboration is going to
Okay.
be, again, the biggest low-hanging fruit to really infuse some more eyeballs on your brand. So
Right.
whether it's a local hair salon or a juice bar, think of people that, again, match your vibe that you could
Mhm.
do something collaborative with. I think would be a great way to get more eyeballs on your brand, because again, once people land here, I think it's very clear, like um clean beauty,
Mhm.
even like your branding is very it's not trendy, but it's on trend, if that makes sense. um
Okay.
Meaning it's like it's relevant, it's current, but you've been around for a long time, so I think there's like some trust, like implied trust there. um
Mhm.
and tell me a little bit about how people are finding you right now.
Yeah, so I do post daily on social media, so Instagram and Facebook. I feel that my customer is 40 plus, all the way up to, 70s. My mother uses the products as well. She's in her 80s. So her friends. But I think what's great about these products is we've kept it simple. We know how busy women are today, and they're just as confused as everybody else as to, what do I need to have beautiful, healthy skin? So we've simplified the process, and we really concentrate on four main, like a simple skincare routine with four products. So, I try to show that a lot in, video and as much as I can, I don't do TikTok and those types of, newer. I don't think my audience is there, really. Sorry, it's my dog. So I do a lot on Facebook and Instagram. I
Yeah,
do send out about 1 to 2 emails to my customer base. And I guess I'd like to know maybe what I should be putting in there as well for content.
yeah. I mean, I love that practical and easy to use. And you told me you kept it, you said 4 products? Because anytime I've bought a product, I'm like, can you write down how do I use this and when do I use this? There's almost a little panic there of like, I'm gonna get this wrong. So I think there could be some like a lot of skincare brands might say, download our perfect face routine. And you might be playful with that and be like, you don't need a guide to use our product. Maybe it's download our spa playlist. So while you're washing your face, you take a moment for you. It's something like, and all you got to do is go on Spotify, make a playlist. But maybe that's something that you can include in your emails that's very like on brand and engaging and saying like, listen, this isn't supposed to be some stressful 30-minute keep applying, keep applying. It's supposed to be 5 minutes. I mean, I know I have a list on my phone of, I call it things that make me happy when skies are gray. And on that list is like doing my skincare routine. And it's because it's like 5 minutes. So, putting on a playlist that's like just maybe your favorite spa song where it's like you can have a micro moment for you in the middle of your busy day, take care of yourself, feel really good about this. Another idea, I've seen this trending before. I don't know if anyone's seen, they're calling them dopamine menus. And it's like, if you have, depending on how much time you have, if you're looking for like a hit of dopamine, there's like snack, appetizer, entree, dessert. And so you write out these little things like, appetizer could be getting a coffee at my favorite coffee shop. An entree could be booking a trip with my girlfriends. A snack could be putting my hand on my heart and taking 3 really good deep breaths. But maybe if that's in line with your brand, on your email list, you could explain this concept and say, invite people to create their own dopamine menu and add renew into your dopamine menu. So really inviting people to experience what you do in the way that you want them to will kind of set the tone for the vibe.
That's excellent. I love it. Thank you. Very
Yeah.
creative.
I'm just gonna look and see what else I mean, I think the rest of that's on my slides is, yeah. So Smita, I want to hear about you and your brand.
Hi, Haley.
Hi.
First of all, I'm loving this. I have like actually written 3 pages of notes.
Oh, I'm so
Sorry,
glad.
and that too in my little retail playground notebook. I'm gonna keep this short. I will jump directly into challenges because I think we don't have a lot of time. I have a home linen brand, so I design textiles, and they're block printed, handmade, artisanal. The 2 challenges that I face are seasonality and consumer buying cycles because textiles are not your consumables or an impulse purchase. And then the second one is price sensitivity. I have wholesale clients and, like direct consumers. And I think one of the things I struggle with is people would be like, oh, I don't want to buy a $65 pillow, but they're artisanal, handmade. They are expensive. So I think that is the price. Some people have told me you undersell it. Some people have told me you overprice it. So and the story behind is not just like inspired by the Indian craftsmanship, which is an ode to my roots, but also educating about the history, why am I doing block printing? What is the history behind it? Or what is the history behind my designs or the inspiration, etc.?
Love. I have to just say, what an amazing treat for me to get exposed to all, like, you're all amazing, and I'm thrilled that I'm getting to be exposed to all of your brands. I'm genuinely so excited. This is great. I feel like what a treat for me. So the first thing that you said was the seasonality, and I love that. There are a lot of creative way. You're going to have to almost invent new problems and tell the story of why somebody needs it now. So I have this example. It wasn't my agency, but a friend's agency. They were working with chimney sweeps, and everybody tends to get their chimney cleaned the same time every year. You know, right before you're going to start, you know, September, October, when you're like thinking of maybe starting a fire again, you get your chimney cleaned. So what they did, they noticed, this is again a crazy example, but we'll bring it back to you. They noticed that 90% of their customers had dogs. And, you know, anyone who owns a dog, you like when people notice how cute your dog is. So they took pictures of all of the dogs that they were in their clients' homes. And then in June, they sent out a postcard to all of their clients with their dog's photo on them, and just kind of reminded them, you know, hey, we're here. Why don't you schedule your cleaning now rather than wait until later? And everyone scheduled they loved it so much, they scheduled their cleaning for July, which meant the chimney sweep had open availability to take on all new customers when it was busy. So it was this brilliant way of shifting that kind of seasonality. So I think you could do something with that here around whether it's you know, you'll have to kind of go through and think, do you want to do this monthly? Do you want to do this quarterly, seasonally? But how can you create an absolute reason for someone to want your products in that time? So
Right.
I would say, I would assume holiday time is probably pretty busy, but I would say getting into spring or even summer, bridal gifts, people adding for registries. So I think if you can come up with all of these scenarios and reasons why someone would want to buy for themselves or gift for someone else, and start telling those stories. Like, I know my brother's getting married in August. And if I was scrolling through and came across this beautiful, like these beautiful pillows on a bed, and it's like, you know a couple that's getting married soon, like gift them this that they'll have in their home. Done. I'm sold. That what a great idea. I would have never thought of that. So to kind of taking on that responsibility of coming up with these campaigns that are creating these scenarios that might not naturally exist. But once you say them and you kind of tell that story, they're like, oh, yep, I definitely need this. I didn't know I definitely needed it, but now I do. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, no, absolutely. In fact, I've been thinking, you said bridal, and I was thinking housewarming gifts, because people
Yeah.
have come and like bought like housewarming napkins, and I was like, yeah, this is something I'm gonna work on. Thank you, Hayley.
You could connect with local realtors and talk to them about, what an amazing gift this would be for a realtor to give, someone they've closed with. Yeah, I think there's a lot there. I like that.
And my second one was price sensitivity. If you could like just quickly tell me something about it. I've heard so many different variations. I know what my products are worth. And I think this is something I struggle with, that sometimes I've had wholesale clients who've bought, and I tell them that this is the MSRP, but they don't often, or I've had one or two who have not come back because they think it's expensive, or my audience is not like that. So kind of vetting that, retailers that, okay, maybe my products won't do well at your store. I mean, if that's your audience.
So luxury marketing is a whole different type of marketing than regular consumer marketing. I've done a workshop on luxury marketing before, and I'll go back in my notes, and maybe I can send it to Allison and you can share it with her, or we can connect and I'll send you some notes, because it
Sure,
takes
yeah.
different kind of messaging, and different, because people who money is no object, or who would spend $800 on a pillow, have a different perceived problem than someone who's going to go to Target and spend, you know, $18 on a pillow.
Yeah.
So it's all about messaging and aligning your brand with the right kind of messaging. So I'll definitely see, I know I have like a worksheet on that. Luxury marketing worksheet. Awesome. All right, I'm just going to go back to my, am I sharing my screen still? There we go. Present. Present. Oh, now you can see this. That's all right. I don't think I have any nuts left anyway. Okay, vibe check challenge. So your mission this week is to post a story-driven social post using your vibe, thinking about your vibe, what that might be. Share your founder story via email or on social, and collaborate with one brand that matches your vibe. You can pick one of these. Let's be honest. We're all busy women. But choose one of these to try it and to test out and to see how it feels, because what I've found is the more that you can infuse these stories into your marketing, the less marketing feels like a drag. Because you're actually connecting with people, which is what marketing is supposed to do, drawing people in, igniting enthusiasm. So this should start to feel good and inspire you to do more and more. Your vibe is your brand's magic. Share it unapologetically. And then resources and takeaways. So you guys have the vibe check worksheet that you can do afterwards. I have a free marketing bootcamp that's on my website. If you go to hayleydenkermarketing.com, it's just a 6-week email series that'll give you prompts and invite you to kind of dig deep on your brand. Tools to help you. I'm sure you're all aware of Canva, CapCut, ChatGPT, Flowdesk. Actually, for brands, for e-commerce, I really love Klaviyo. If you have any questions about any of that stuff, please DM me. And then on Thursday, I'm doing a workshop, how to turn your followers into profits. We're really going deep and talking about how to get people from social media onto your email list, creating a nurture sequence that's pushing them towards buying from you. So I have a QR code here, gets you $10 off if you use the promo code friend of HDM. I'd love to see you guys, but I'd love to just stay in touch in general. I know everyone who's on the hot seat I followed, but anybody else, please follow me. I'll follow you back. I want to kind of see what you're doing, how you're using the vibe. My DMs are open. I love this stuff. And thank you so much. This was really, really such a treat. And I love being here. So thank you.
Hayley, thank you so much. This was absolutely incredible. I'm glad it was a treat for you as well. My cheeks are literally hurting. I have not stopped smiling this entire hour. So I thank you all for staying with us. We will absolutely share out the recording and resources. We're getting a couple of extra requests for the luxury marketing worksheets or whatever it is you have to share. So Hayley, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Thank you.